Have you ever walked into a room and felt different? Not because of how you look, but because of something deeper, something you can't quite name. Or maybe you've always sensed a quiet voice inside whispering, "You're not like the others. You're meant for something more." And what if I told you that this feeling, that inner knowing, isn't random, that it's a mark, a calling, a sign that you were born chosen? There comes a moment in every woman's life, a still, silent moment, when she pauses and looks inward. Not just at what she's done, but who she really is. And in that pause, something stirs. A soft whisper, a flicker of knowing, an unshakable sense that she was never meant to live like the rest. Have you felt it? That subtle, sacred feeling that you were destined for something greater. Not fame, not applause, but something deeper. A sense of divine purpose that even you may not fully understand yet. Some women walk through life never questioning why they feel different. Why the world often feels too loud, too shallow, too fast. Why their hearts break at things others barely notice. They carry a wisdom beyond their years, as if they've lived lifetimes before this one. They sense people's energy before a word is spoken. They can walk into a space and change the atmosphere, not by trying, but simply by being there. Because their presence speaks louder than words ever could. Maybe this has always been your truth. Maybe you've never quite fit the mold, never fully blended into the box the world tried to squeeze you into. And the truth is, you weren't meant to. Chosen women have always walked a different path. Not because they wanted to be different, but because they were born to be. It wasn't a decision, it was a divine design placed upon them before their very first breath. And the world notices. Oh, it notices. Even when you try to shrink, to hide, to silence the roar inside, people still see it. They sense something in you that they can't quite explain. Ever felt misunderstood? Ever wondered why others can't figure you out even when you're not trying to be mysterious? Why some people admire you, others envy you, and some they fear you? It's because chosen women disrupt the ordinary. They awaken something uncomfortable in those who cling to the status quo. They challenge what's always been, simply by being who they are. But here's what you need to know. Being chosen isn't just about what you carry. It's about what you're becoming. It's about walking into your fullness without apology. No more shrinking. No more doubting. No more waiting for permission to rise. Because right now, more than ever, the world is aching for women who will stand in their truth. Women who don't crumble when life gets heavy. Women who move boldly even when the path ahead is unclear. Women who know that their presence is not an accident. It's an assignment. And maybe you didn't see it before, but now, every heartbreak, every closed door, every sleepless night, it was all preparing you. Not to break you, but to build you into the woman you were always meant to be. Chosen women don't have easy lives, because easy never shapes the extraordinary. So if you've carried invisible wounds, if you've survived seasons that felt like storms, that wasn't just suffering. That was refining. That was preparation. And here's the beautiful twist. You don't have to go searching for the signs. They've been with you all along, etched into your soul, waiting to be recognized. The only question now is, will you finally stop dismissing your purpose as a dream? Will you embrace the truth you've always known deep inside? Because once you do, once you stop running, everything changes. Not every woman is chosen, but if something in you is stirring right now, if your heart is beating a little louder, your soul a little brighter, then maybe, just maybe, you are. And if you are, there are signs, undeniable, powerful signs, that have always been there. Subtle, yet unmistakable. Let's explore what they are and why they matter. Are you ready? There are things she sees, unspoken things that others completely overlook. These aren't ordinary traits. They're not quirks or personality types. They are marks, signs that she carries something rare, powerful, and deeply rooted within her. Something that can't be learned in books. Something that can't be bought, borrowed, or imitated. And when a woman bears these marks, life doesn't follow the same script for her. The path doesn't unfold in neat, predictable steps. No, her journey twists and turns in unexpected ways because the road of the chosen is never ordinary. Let's begin with the first sign, intuition. A chosen woman is guided by a deep, unshakable inner knowing. Call it a gut feeling. Call it discernment. Whatever name you give it, the truth remains when she knows she just knows. It's not guessing. It's not overthinking. It's a sacred knowing that lives in her bones, a whisper in her spirit that refuses to be silenced, no matter how much logic tries to override it. She senses the truth before there's any proof. She walks into a room and can feel what no one else is paying attention to. The tension behind the smiles, the sadness in someone's eyes, the subtle shift in energy that tells her something's off. She sees past words. She hears what isn't being said. She knows when someone is being authentic, and when they're hiding behind a mask. And time again, no matter how much the world tries to make her doubt herself, life proves her intuition was right all along. But here's the other side of that gift. It's not always easy to carry, because a chosen woman doesn't just see emotions. She feels them. She absorbs what others can't even articulate. She's laid awake at night, restless, not because of her own struggles, but because her spirit was picking up the silent battles of those around her. She's felt drained, not just from her own journey, but from pouring her soul into others who never even realized how much of herself she was giving. She carries wounds that aren't always hers. She feels pain others are too proud to admit. And yet she keeps loving, keeps sensing, keeps showing up, because that's just who she is. This sensitivity is not weakness. It's sacred strength. And though it can be overwhelming, it is one of her greatest powers. The second mark, resilience. She possesses a spirit that's nearly unbreakable. Not because she's never been broken, but because she has, and still chose to rise. She's walked through storms that would have shattered others. She's tasted betrayal, heartbreak, disappointment, and loss. She's known what it feels like to stand on the edge of despair, wondering if she'll ever feel whole again. But still, again and again, she rises. She doesn't crumble. She bends. She doesn't give up. She grows. Every time life tried to knock her down, she got back up, wiser, stronger, more grounded than before. What people don't see, though, are the silent battles she's fought in the dark. The nights her pillow was soaked in tears. The mornings she still showed up, smiling, carrying the weight like it was nothing. She's had to become her own cheerleader, lifting herself up when no one else was there to do it. This kind of resilience isn't handed out. It's forged. In fire, in loneliness, in the quiet moments when no one is watching and quitting seems easier than continuing. But she doesn't quit, because she was never meant to be ordinary. The third mark is presence. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands it without even trying. She walks into a room and something shifts. Not because she's the loudest, the flashiest, or the most decorated, but because she's anchored. She knows who she is. She doesn't chase approval. She doesn't beg for validation. She walks with certainty even when she has questions. And people notice. Not because of her appearance, but because of what she carries. There's an invisible energy around her, a calm fire, a grounded light that refuses to be dimmed even in the darkest rooms. But let's be honest, this presence isn't always welcomed. Some will be drawn to it, inspired by it, but others, they'll feel unsettled by it without even knowing why. She's likely experienced those cold shoulders, the sudden distance, the silent exclusion from people who couldn't quite place her, but knew she made them uncomfortable. Why? Because Presence without explanation can feel like a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look into it. And yet, despite all this, she remains. She continues to walk with grace, strength, and a quiet power that doesn't need permission. But there are still more signs, more sacred truths about the path of a chosen woman. So, let's keep going. Are you starting to recognize these marks in yourself? Because the journey isn't over yet. It's only just beginning. There were times she walked into a room and immediately felt it. The stares, the subtle whispers, the sideways glances. She couldn't always explain why. She hadn't said a word. She hadn't done anything unusual. But still, the energy would shift. And for a long time she wondered, did I do something wrong? Should I tone myself down? Do I need to make myself smaller just to make others comfortable? She questioned herself, tried to soften her presence, tried to fit into spaces that never felt made for her. But here's the truth. Chosen women were never meant to blend in. They were meant to stand apart. The moment she stops apologizing for her light, the moment she stops shrinking herself for the sake of someone else's comfort, that is when she steps into her power. So if you've felt this, if you carry a fierce intuition, an unshakable resilience, a magnetic presence, know this. It's not a flaw, it's a sign, a mark, an undeniable truth stitched into your soul. No matter how much the world tries to convince you otherwise, you were never meant to be ordinary. And yes, this can be lonely, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. While others stay comfortable in illusion, she stands in clarity. And clarity can isolate. Then comes the next mark, influence. Not the kind that seeks applause, not the spotlight-chasing type. Her influence is quieter, but far more powerful. She doesn't have to try to be influential. She just is. It's in the way she walks, the way she speaks, the calm confidence she exudes without needing to prove anything. People notice even when they can't explain why. When she speaks something inside, others listens. When she leads, people follow. Even when she's silent, her energy is felt. But influence, like presence, is not always met with welcome arms. Some are inspired by it. Others are threatened, often without even realizing why. She has entered rooms where judgment came before words. She's felt pressure to be less, to carry burdens she never agreed to dim her shine so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. And sometimes she's asked herself, would it be easier to just shrink, to take up less space, to be quieter? But deep down, she knows she was never meant to be small. She is light, and no matter how hard she tries to hide it, light refuses to stay hidden. Finally, there's the mark that ties everything together: purpose. That deep, undeniable sense that she was born for something more. Not just to exist, not just to survive, but to impact, to transform, to awaken. Are you ready to walk deeper into your calling? We've talked about influence, inner wisdom, and presence, those unmistakable marks of a chosen woman. But perhaps the most defining and demanding mark of all is purpose. She may not always be able to name it. She may not have the full picture. But deep down, she knows she was put here for a reason. Even when the path is unclear, even when doubt creeps in, there's something in her spirit that won't let her settle. It's that restlessness she feels when she tries to shrink her dreams. It's the fire in her chest when she starts to compromise. It's the voice that whispers at 2 a.m. You were not made for an ordinary life. Purpose is what keeps her going when the world tells her to give up. It's what stirs her soul when everything around her says, be still, be quiet, be small. But she can't, because inside her is a fire that refuses to go out. And perhaps this invisible burning clarity is the most difficult mark of all. Why? Because purpose doesn't come without a price. A chosen woman is not given an easy road. She doesn't get the luxury of comfort or convenience. If she carries true purpose, she will be tested. She will be stretched. She will be called into hard places and asked the hard questions. Will you rise or will you retreat? Will you stand in your calling or stay silent in your fear? Will you trust that this fire in you is not here to destroy you, but to lead you because that fire? It's not a burden, it's a beacon. It's the signal that she is here for more. Not every woman carries these marks, but if you're still here, still listening, still nodding quietly to yourself, then maybe you've already known deep in your bones that you do. You are not like the rest. You never were. And that's not arrogance, it's alignment. But let's not pretend it's easy. The weight of being chosen. It's real. When a woman is set apart, when she carries something sacred and rare within her, the world responds to her differently. The path doesn't unfold gently. It challenges her. It refines her. Not because she's flawed, but because she carries something right, something pure, something disruptive to the ordinary. And this too is hard to explain to others. There are battles she faces that seem invisible to those around her. Tests and trials that seem to follow her not because she's unlucky, but because she's marked, because the fire inside her is being forged, not extinguished by the flame. People who do not carry this same mark may never fully understand. And one of the most painful realities of that being misunderstood. She can walk into a space and feel the energy shift, not always in welcome. She can speak her truth and watch it be twisted. She can offer her heart only to have her intentions misread or dismissed. She has tried to explain how she sees the world with vision, with depth, with sensitivity, but too often people only hear what they're ready to hear. And that leads her to moments of deep reflection. Would it be easier to just stay silent, to go along, to fade in, to stop offering the insight she sees so clearly? But here's the thing about a chosen woman. She was never made to stay silent. Her voice carries weight. Her perspective matters. And even if no one claps, even if no one understands the truth inside, her refuses to let her be anything less than who she was born to be. And then, there's the loneliness. Not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from being unseen, even in a crowded room. She has often felt like the outsider, not because she wants to be distant, but because her depth creates distance in shallow spaces. She's been surrounded by people yet felt invisible. She's laughed in groups while secretly longing for one true connection, someone who doesn't just see her smile, but sees the weight she carries beneath it. And it's not because she is unworthy of connection. Not at all. It's because deep connections, real, raw, soul-level connections, are rare. Not everyone is ready for the depth she brings. She doesn't do shallow. She doesn't speak to fill silence. She doesn't fake conversations just to blend in. She craves something real, something meaningful, something that meets her at the soul level, where her truth lives, unfiltered and whole. And maybe that's been your story too. If so, there's something you need to hear next. A truth that will bring both comfort and clarity. Because there's a reason your path has looked different. She was never meant to dim her light, just to make others feel comfortable. And yet when she refuses to shrink here, comes the resistance. But for a chosen woman, it's never just about facing challenges. No, she faces opposition. Real, fierce, often unexplainable opposition. There are times when doors close in her face without warning. Opportunities that felt so close vanish. People she trusted, people who once cheered her on, suddenly distance themselves or turn against her. And she's left wondering, why does it feel like life is pushing back, when all I've tried to do is walk in purpose? But here's what she must understand deeply, fully, and once and for all. The enemy never attacks what isn't a threat. The resistance isn't proof that she's doing something wrong, it's confirmation that she's carrying something powerful. The testing she's endured. It's not random, it's refining. Because the woman she's becoming is dangerous to the status quo. And every single time she rises from what was meant to break her, she proves again and again that she was never meant to be stopped. But perhaps one of the heaviest burdens a chosen woman carries is the silent weight of expectation. She rarely gets to walk through life unnoticed. People watch her. They lean on her. They look to her sometimes, without even asking, expecting her to be the strong one, the wise one, the one who holds things together when everything else falls apart. And while she carries that role with quiet grace, there are moments she wishes someone else would carry it just for a little while. There are days when she longs to simply be. Not lead, not fix, not hold the world up, but to be held, to be seen, to be poured into instead of constantly pouring out. Yet even in those moments of longing, even under the pressure, she knows something sacred. She was built for this. The fire she's walked through hasn't destroyed her, it has purified her. The pain she's faced wasn't meant to crush her, it was meant to shape her. And though the path is rarely smooth, it is always meaningful, always worth it. Because every challenge, every closed door, every betrayal, every late-night breakdown has only made her stronger, sharper, more unshakable than ever before. If these words feel familiar, if you've carried this weight, you already know you are not weak. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are simply walking the road of those who were never meant to be ordinary. At some point on that road, a chosen woman must make a decision. She must choose whether to keep questioning herself, doubting the fire inside her, second-guessing the calling that's been with her since the beginning, or to finally fully embrace it. Because the truth is, deep down, she's always known. She's always felt it, even when she didn't have the language to explain it, even when no one around her could see it. She's carried something rare, something real, and no matter how hard she's tried to blend in, her spirit just wouldn't let her. And the moment she stops resisting, the moment she stops trying to shrink herself just to make others feel at ease, everything begins to change. There is no manual for stepping into your power, no instruction book for becoming who you were born to be. It's not neat, it's not predictable, it's messy, it's vulnerable. It requires faith when logic fails, and courage when fear screams the loudest. But here's the beauty. A chosen woman doesn't need a perfect plan. She doesn't need permission. She doesn't need validation from anyone. What she does need is the courage to whisper, "I'm ready." Ready to stop apologizing for her strength. Ready to stop hiding her voice. Ready to step into her purpose, even if she doesn't yet see where it will lead. Because stepping into this calling isn't just about recognizing it, it's about owning it. And that's where many stay stuck. A woman can know she is different and still live like she's not. She can feel the fire inside and still refuse to let it burn the way it was meant to. Because, let's be honest, owning who you are, that comes with a price. It means some people will walk away. It means not everyone will understand. It means she will face moments of crushing doubt where she'll wonder if life would be simpler, safer, quieter, if she just stayed small. But here's the truth. What does it actually look like to live as a chosen woman in the real world? Because knowing is one thing, but becoming. That's where the real transformation begins. Once a chosen woman stops shrinking, once she dares to own her voice, her power, her purpose, everything begins to shift. She lives for impact, not approval. And impact, it demands boldness. It asks her to stand tall when the world tells her to sit down. It calls her to keep walking forward even when fear screams for her to stop. And when she finally does, when she truly embodies the woman she was always meant to be, things begin to move. Not just within her, but all around her. Suddenly doors begin to open, doors she could never have forced open herself. The right people begin to show up quietly, effortlessly. And the wrong ones. They fade like shadows at sunrise. The heaviness that once clung to her spirit begins to fall away. The doubts once so loud begin to whisper, and eventually go silent. Because she's no longer asking, "Am I enough?" She knows she is. But this journey, it was never just about her. A chosen woman doesn't rise only for herself. She rises so that others can rise too. Her light doesn't exist to seek applause, it exists to give permission. To remind others that they can shine too. She walks in purpose, and in doing so she becomes a mirror for possibility. And this perhaps is the greatest mark of all, her ability to lift others simply by being fully, unapologetically herself. So the real question is not, do you have what it takes? Because you do. And it's not, are you ready? Because truthfully, you've been ready for a long time. The question is, will you step forward anyway? Will you embrace what's always been inside you? Will you finally own the truth you've carried all along? Because the moment you say yes, truly fully from your soul, everything changes. And nothing will ever be the same again. There comes a moment when a chosen woman looks back at her journey, at the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the mountains she's climbed, and the valleys she's survived, and she realizes she has changed. She's no longer who she used to be. She has grown. She has expanded. She has become something more. And the things that used to hold her down, the opinions, the doubts, the fear of being too much, they no longer hold power, because now she's standing in something greater. She's walking in the full truth of who she is, and there's no going back. But with this transformation comes a new kind of test. Because when a woman rises, when she stops apologizing for her brilliance, the world doesn't always respond with open arms. Some will celebrate her, drawn to her fire, awakened by her truth. Others will resist, unsettled by the fact that she no longer seeks their approval. And still, some will try to pull her back, not to hurt her, but because her growth highlights the places they have been unwilling to grow. But a chosen woman, she cannot return to what she's outgrown. She cannot pretend to be the smaller version of herself that others were more comfortable with. She cannot dim her light just to make others feel bigger. This is where many women falter, not because they don't know their power, but because they're afraid of what happens when they fully live it. Will I lose people? Will I be misunderstood? Will everything I once knew fall apart? And the answer with love is yes. Yes, some people will leave. Yes, some will not understand. Yes, the life you once knew may fall apart. But listen closely. That's not something to fear. That's something to embrace. Because when one life crumbles, it makes room for the life you were meant to live. One of the hardest parts of being chosen is accepting that not everyone will come with you. Friendships will fade. Relationships will shift. Places that once felt like home will no longer fit. And you'll be tempted to cling. To carry people with you who were never meant to walk this part of the path. But you can't. Because elevation requires separation. You cannot fly while dragging what you've outgrown. But then something beautiful happens. She finds her people. The ones who see her truly see her, not for who she was, but for who she's becoming. The ones who say, shine brighter, not tone it down. She starts to attract relationships that nourish, not drain. Spaces that honor, not diminish. Conversations that inspire, not exhaust. She steps into rooms where she doesn't have to explain herself because she's finally surrounded by those who simply understand. And in that moment, she sees it clearly. Everything she thought she was losing was only making space for something far better. This is the moment of complete alignment. She no longer wrestles with who she is. She no longer questions her worth. She no longer doubts her direction. She speaks with clarity. She moves with boldness. She leads with a confidence that is unshakable, not because she's never been tested, but because she's survived every test. And now she knows she was never meant to be ordinary. A chosen woman does not ask for permission. She does not wait for applause. She does not shrink to fit. She rises. She leads. She becomes. And once she does, there is no turning back.